代啲武師 never say no。
嚟咩？打！
龍仔
，cut！你講，
仲可以搭幾多年啊？唔通40-50歲仲做緊武師啊？
試下練出，
好牙煙啊，唔好再拍落去啦。我哋下次先合作啦。
拍乜嘢啊？嚇！做咩俾人講我啲嘢？咁樣拍出嚟唔好睇啊嘛！唔好聽，唔好聽。
點都好過你啦，淨係識推啲兄弟去死。你有冇試過好真心、好真心咁中意一樣嘢係點㗎？我真係好想試一次，搏到盡會係點㗎？
無論幾大風大浪都好，條火唔可以熄。
Hi everybody, it's Sid from Cool Moviegram, your source for everything about cool film. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and check out my other content and let me know of your thoughts. It's been a while, I know I've just been really busy with work and everything else in between. Finally been able to actually get some time to myself to actually make a video, and I'm so thrilled to be doing this one. Of course, this is going to be a film review, of course, and it's going to be for the movie Stuntman, which is a 2024 movie from Hong Kong, directed by Albert and Herbert Leung, and it stars Stephen Tong Wai, Terence Lau, Philip Ng, and Cecilia Choi. Yeah, I was lucky enough to see this at the at my local cinema, which is View Birmingham. Without further ado, let's not waste any time. Let's just get into it. Somewhere in the late 80s or early 90s. I mean, it opens where it's like you're seeing this action sequence take place in like a shopping mall with some escalators and even the sound effects and everything. It's just kind of a very familiar vibe, especially for those who have kind of like enamored themselves with Hong Kong action cinema, especially from what many people consider to be the golden age, the heyday of Hong Kong movies, of action movies, the fight choreography, the stunt work. A rather successful filmmaker who's known for taking risks, who's like a stunt coordinator as well, is directing this movie. A stunt goes wrong and it kind of like just causes more damage than anything else to people involved, and also putting career on hold. Fast forward to present day, where we see the former stunt choreographer and fight choreographer and filmmaker Lee Sung, who's actually now living a rather kind of like mediocre life. All he does is he's running a clinic and he's kind of healing people. He's got all his posters of his old previous movies up, and he just lives a very quiet, just a very kind of like very simple, ordinary life. And he's trying to kind of like repair his strange relationship with his daughter Cherry, who's about to get married, played by Cecilia Choi. But he's doing everything that he can. He's trying to kind of be a better person. And upon a chance encounter with one of his former peers and colleagues, he's kind of given a chance, as you know, his friends looking to just direct one more movie, to actually be a stunt choreographer. And you know, it's also including the you know, for him to actually kind of bring back the heyday of Hong Kong action cinema. And in the midst of this, there's also a young man named Long, played by Terence Lau, who's kind of like a bit part stunt player who's kind of getting small gigs, but at the same time he's trying to kind of like you know, pay his way. But his older brother, played by Max Chung, is actually kind of like saying, "You're just wasting your time. Why not just join me in this kind of logistics company? You know, it's a guaranteed pay. You know, there's not many opportunities out for younger people." But Terence Lau's character Long, he's like a very big fan of a lot of these Golden Age Hong Kong movies, and he's someone who kind of obsesses over them. The fact that he's got a chance to be able to work alongside Lee Sung, who chooses him as his coordinator. But then, in comes in the mix is Philip Ng's character Y, who's like an established movie star making action movies, and he decides to kind of reluctantly get involved in this film. And he has kind of his own kind of reservations of working with someone with Lee Sam, who was known for having temperament, known for being like someone who took whatever risk possible just for the perfect shot, even if it means doing 30 takes on one particular shot just to make sure it's right. And this creates a lot of tensions, and even to the point where people are actually getting hurt. People are actually getting kind of like, the producers are not happy, the crew's not happy. People are kind of like, literally being put at risk. And at the same time, Leung is someone who's trying to kind of like be this young, idealistic kind of person who's trying to make sure that he can kind of build a reputation, because he wants to be able to have a career in filmmaking, because as many times in this film as we see is that the winds are strong, and don't let the flame die out, but the flame is dying out. That was more or less what they're saying at the start of the movie, that Hong Kong doesn't really make those kind of action movies anymore. But then at what cost? And at the same time, I mean, still Lee Sam's trying to kind of like do right by his daughter, be involved in the wedding as much as he can, but at the same time the film production is kind of like taking more of an importance in his life in comparison to his own daughter's wedding, which kind of like is one of the reasons why he has a strange relationship with his family, is because of his kind of dedication to his work. Going into this film, I kind of I watched a few reviews, I saw the trailers, I thought this kind of like does hark back a lot. It's a very nostalgic film which captures the essence of heyday Hong Kong cinema, which was when Hong Kong cinema was pretty much, it was like literally the place for action movies, going from like, especially from like when they kind of started moving more towards modern day action movies in the 80s up until about, even throughout the 90s. It's just because you had many great like stunt performers, fight choreographers, and stunt coordinators who came up with some stuff that even when you watch now you think, wow, it's very impressive. It's kind of like gives a deep dive into it kind of shatters a lot of things, because this doesn't just show like the whole Hong Kong cinema as like, it's nothing beats Hong Kong cinema, it's the best. Their action style is number one, especially during the heyday, what people consider to be the golden era. I mean, when you had people like Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and you had so many like different kind of like stunt performers involved, and it had like there's so many films now, of course, because they're being re-released in like these gorgeous restorations and really kind of like remastered to the highest level, especially in high definition. You get to kind of appreciate just the artistry that's available, but then it shows a different side to it. I mean, there's a lot of nods. What I loved about this film is there's a lot of nods to like previous movies, because even the opening sequence, which is pretty much supposed to be part of an older movie that's being shot, you kind of like just the choreography, the beats, even the sound effects and everything is pretty much what you would hear from those kind of golden era movies. And at the same time it was showing how they were great movies, but then it also shows a darker side. What do you do when someone's actually getting injured to a point where they're paralyzed, or even worse, people can actually die. They have died in terms of like stunt work in the past, and even much more recently when you think of like, for example, John Woo's Red Cliff, where that was back in being shot in 2007-2008 time, where during an explosion stunt that was actually created for the film, an actual stuntman had actually passed away. And but at the same time you see the kind of ins and outs of Hong Kong cinema, the glory of it, but then also the problematic side of it as well, where it's just a movie, but then people are actually willing to get hurt for the film. But I mean, what it would kind of like I would say is that the performances, especially Terence Lau, was really good. He was actually kind of like, you know, had this kind of young, kind of like idealistic kind of view upon like, well, Hong Kong action movies, and you know, he kind of like shows us like someone who, a lot of young people who probably grew up watching these movies see themselves in now. They want to make it in this kind of like in this field, but then, you know, they don't really kind of like appreciate that there's going to be a lot of risks involved. There's going to be a lot of problems. It is not like as easy as it is. But then you also have Stephen Tung Wai, who did absolutely amazing work, and you know, he kind of like, you know, someone who's actually worked on some of like the greatest action movies. I mean, most notably, of course, people will remember him as Bruce Lee's student at the start of Enter the Dragon as a young boy. But then he had gone on to kind of like be an action choreographer who's worked with the likes of like John Woo and you know, films like A Better Tomorrow. He was actually one of the action choreographers on there, and also he had done like stunts and action even in movies like Hard Boiled, where he played like an undercover stool pigeon for well, that's Helping Chow Yun-fat. And you know, he kind of, you know, shows that this man has actually lost everything, but then he's given this one last chance, one last kind of like opportunity to prove himself. But then as he realizes, it's just that the climate has changed. You know, it's like they can't really put people's lives at risks, and even has a nod to like, you know, films. You know, it reminded me a lot of like, for example, City on Fire. The fact that they're filming a jewelry heist in broad daylight, trying to do this without actually doing permit, without having the actual permits, and that kind of creates a problem where people are getting hurt, and you realize this is just a movie. And you know, even kind of like it harked back to Johnny Mac's Long Arm of the Law, where the scene where when the character's actually chased by police officers in the streets. I mean, that was actually done without a permit. People thought that there was an actual kind of like incident with the police where they didn't know that it was actually, you know, stuntmen, and this is all being filmed for a movie. And it kind of showed that, fair enough, I mean, they were able to capture a great movie, but then they would had to change. But then it captures the spirit of Hong Kong cinema. It's actually very kind of like, it kind of captures that these people were willing to go all the way just for a movie. And I mean, it's funny how like even one of the directors, he was saying, because both the directors, Albert and Herbert Leung, were actually stuntmen themselves, and this is their first feature film. I mean, well directed. I mean, the actors are all really good. I mean, even Cecilia Choi's character, I mean, does show, you know, have a bit of, kind of brings that more gentle side to it. Her character Cherry, who, you know, she's trying to act like she doesn't really care much, but at the same time you do see that she still has that kind of sentiment towards her father, and she kind of does want to kind of like things to work out between them. And even Philip Ng, who, you know, this time around is not as like outlandish and crazy as much as we loved him in Twilight of the Warriors. He's a lot more like, you know, he's playing like a much seasoned action star, but at the same time you kind of see a different side to him, especially when there's a scene where he goes to visit Terence Lau after he's injured, he's in the hospital, and he even says to him, says that you know, that was the motto, was stuntman never says no, and he never gives up. But he says that it's a film, you know, I don't want people to be dying for it. That's the reason why he has a problem, because you know, he's had problems with Lee Sam before, but he doesn't want to you know, see people get hurt for a movie, because no movie's worth more than a person's health or their life, which it's great. But then at the same time, it just shows that how all these great movies, in the directors themselves, one of them was saying how, like in an interview, how when he was working as a stuntman, the first chance that he got was actually to be able to work on a movie with Sammo Hung, and he actually was a huge fan of Sammo, and he bought one of his DVDs for Sammo Hung to sign. And Sammo just looked at the cover before he signed it, and he just kind of let out a sigh and says, "We would never be able to make a film like this ever again." Which, I mean, it's true, because I mean, when you watch a movie like, for example, Eastern Condors, where Chin Kar-lok actually received like what, 2nd or 3rd degree burns or something when doing a stunt for one of those explosions on the boat, I think it was. and you know, all these kind of like these dangerous kind of like flips and stuff like you would be doing all the time. Even, for example, Jackie Chan's infamous Police Story chandelier kind of like stunt as well. No one would be able to actually do something like that unless there were like some ultra safe precautions that were put in place. I mean, it does kind of remind a little bit more about Ride On, but instead of Ride On, which was like glory to the old days of Jackie Chan's stunts career, this is kind of showing, okay, there's a niceness to it, but then, you know, it looks great, but there was a lot of like blood, sweat, and even injuries, broken bones and tears, everything involved whilst making those movies. And even when you look back at them now, you're thinking, yeah, they're awesome, but they do look very, very dangerous. You know, it's directed in a very kind of like realistic look, because this is from people who have actually been through that whole stuntman life. And I would definitely say, I mean, Stephen Tung Wai definitely deserves an award for his acting in this movie. He's just absolutely amazing. Very layered performance, very kind of like very human at times, but then you just kind of see this different side of him and how he was, you know, his character was meant to be someone who was difficult to work with on a movie set. But it's just like, you know, it does capture the essence of golden era Hong Kong movies and what made them so different and made them so beloved. But also it showed a sinister side to it as well, where people are getting hurt, where he goes to visit a former stuntman that worked with him, who's actually now kind of like in a wheelchair, and you know, it's just, you know, one of those. I mean, this was quite a pleasant surprise. It's a great drama. I mean, there's a lot of melodrama involved, but at the same time, it kind of has a very grounded feel to it. And how these characters are kind of like making the best. I mean, even Max Chung, who played like Long's older brother, he actually gave great emotional weight to this movie too. And you know, it's captured in a very realistic look, but with some heightened melodrama involved. And you know, it's like it's a perfect ode to the Hong Kong stuntman. I mean, this is a film that the Fall Guy wishes it was. You know, this is the film that the Fall Guy wishes it was, and you know, maybe there are some bits here and there that could have been tweaked a bit, but then, to be fair, when I look at a film, a lot of the times is, am I engrossed in this film throughout the whole length? Is there a point in a movie where I'm kind of like just looking at my phone, or I'm actually kind of like getting bored? But I was there in the cinema. I was just glued to the screen. This is one of those movies. I mean, it could have been a lot better. I mean, there's always going to be room for improvement. But overall, for what it is, as a drama about filmmaking and the passion and the flames, about keeping that flame alive, that one quote, it's just absolute. It's a sublime, you know, character study of people who are involved in this line of work. And you know, it does kind of say, you know, it's like a tribute to them, but instead of kind of just painting it as it's all magnificent, but it's just with the reality. But then and even the end credits where you know, the outtakes, it just kind of brings it back again to that whole kind of like Golden Harvest, Jackie Chan era. And definitely I would say it's a film that is worthwhile. My overall opinion on this film is that it's something that it's a film that captures the essence of Hong Kong cinema and action and the people involved, and it's just a compelling tale. Definitely worth watching, you know, full of great performances, and you know, I would say definitely this is I would say 4 stars out of 5. You know, overall as a film, you know, as a film, the kind of film that it is, obviously definitely it's a 4 out of 5 movie, a must watch. Yeah, that was my review for Stuntman, and be sure to, I would say, you know, there are some limited screenings happening throughout the UK at the moment, but I would say definitely check this one out. Great movie, and yeah, hopefully I'll be seeing you soon with more videos to come. And keep watching. Let me know, I mean, what stunts in Hong Kong cinema do you see as like the most memorable, like something that you have actually that stuck with you from day one? What were the stunts that what stunts would you rank as like being the best performed, or the most actual insane thing that you've seen? I mean, I could list off a number, but let me know about what you would think.